Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, everybody. Vicki here again. Today, I hope everybody has a pencil, pen, paper handy. I'm going to be giving you some advice on who to contact with issues that you're having with Children and Youth Services or an attorney or a social worker. I know that we've all had issues with just about everybody on the way up and down the chain of command. First person I would recommend, if you're having trouble with the caseworker, to contact, of course, is their supervisor. And we all know that this usually doesn't go anywhere because they protect each other, but it would be your caseworker, supervisor, and then, of course, the director in that office of Children and Youth Services. This usually goes nowhere, too, but making those reports is important. Always good to have a paper trail, no matter what you do. Phone calls are always mysteriously never received and don't get documented. So writing the director after you feel like you're not getting anywhere with your caseworker and your supervisor is a good idea. From there, the next thing I would do is go to the commissioners of your county. They are responsible for the hiring and firing and watching over Children and Youth Services. So in Berks County, we have Mark Scott, Kristen Leinbach, and Kevin Barnhart. They can be reached at 610-478-6136. In Schuylkill County, our commissioners there are Frank Studenmeyer, George Halkovich, and Gary Hess. That number is 570-622-5570. And Lebanon County, Joe Ellen Litz, Robert Phillips, and William Ames. That number is 717-228-4477. From there, there's so many other things that you can do, and I think as our group in the PA Coalition, we have realized that you get farther with a letter addressed to, more so than emails. Doesn't hurt to email, doesn't hurt to do faxes, and just letter writing is the best way, and you have that record. Using their fax machines is another great way because you can keep it blowing that thing up all day with your complaints, especially if you have a good group and you set up a letter writing campaign for a certain day and everybody's doing it, it gets their attention. Most fax numbers are on their websites. You can find all this information I'm giving you by just Googling what information you need for your county. Our governor, Tom Corbett, I have his address here. You can write to him. He just more or less passes everything on to Department of Welfare. They're useless. They don't do anything. Haven't seen them do one thing to date. Granted, I'm only at this a year. A lot of the people that I work with are at it a longer time, but haven't seen him do anything. But his address is 301 5th Avenue, room 240, Pittsburgh, 15222. I did have some recent success by filing a complaint with the ACLU. Writer, publisher, and I own my own paper. And in 2006, there was someone on my borough council who decided that my paper was not going to be allowed in the borough hall or the library. They tried to shut me down. And the ACLU stood right up for me, and, of course, that never happened. My paper remained all over the town, and I actually flaunted that because I was in the newspaper with all my issues, and once again, freedom of speech, just like this radio show. Everybody has a right to their opinion. Yes, sometimes you have to watch whose toes you step on, but it's freedom of speech. It's still being held up in America. I know Obama's trying to end it, but we still have those rights. Some people that want to go a little farther with their things, well, let's first talk about Senator Fulmer for people that are local here. You can call his office. It never hurts to write a letter and let people know the problems that you're having in your agency. His number is 717 274-6735. A lot of times, if you call these offices and you get to a secretary, that's the person that really influences what these guys are doing, because they're taking your story and they're like, hey, you really need to listen to this. So it never hurts to talk to the underdogs that are in that office that work for these guys. I've had really good success with Jim Cox's office and his secretary, Ginger. She has been fantastic. She has helped me so much. Jim Cox, his number is 610-670-0139. He actually does do stuff for you. If he thinks your case is worthwhile, he will push for an investigation and help out along those terms. Lately with the Pelletier case and things that went on, a lot of people had spread Carla Pennington's number. She's one of the producers for Dr. Phil. I actually did call, I think a lot of us did, and got to talk to either Carla or her secretary. Her number is 1-323-956-4051 if you're interested in taking your case that far or going for that kind of attention. Another rep that we have in the House is Mark Rossi. He's been a real huge fight to get more rights for children that have been abused, getting the statute longer that they have more time to file, and standing up for kids. His number is 610-921-8921. His chief of staff, his name is Chad. He works out of the Harrisburg office a lot. He's a good guy to talk to. He's pretty well aware of a lot of the problems, and he can maybe give you some good information or might be able to help you in your case. Chad's number is 717-783-3290. Like I said again, a lot of times if you get to the guys that work for these people, you're going to get farther because that's who influences not all of their decisions, but who has a lot to say when complaints come into the office. Our Berks County Bar Association, if you need an attorney and cannot afford one, Donald Smith is the head guy there. His number, 610-375-4591. And sometimes it's easier to get a hold of Donald by his email, which is smith@berksbar.org. And he might be able to tell you if you can get an attorney or not. I had found when I was going through my whole case that I was told, and someone has straightened this out, but I was told that the bar could not appoint an attorney for me because they don't have enough attorneys or the resources to go up against Children and Youth Services. So I know a lot of people have free lawyers going through with their cases. A lot don't. It's really hard to get a free lawyer, and then usually, like we've talked about before, they're part of the system. Now we get to the lovely women at the DPW. A lot of people have probably in this area had to deal with Christine Farrell. She's one of the lower ones. Jackie Madden, she was the director, probably still is. They switch around a lot. They all have each other's backs, but I'm going to throw your numbers at them because it's easier for you to write them down and have this on one piece of paper. Jacqueline Madden, 570-963-4376. Jacqueline's boss used to be Roseanne Perry or Ellen, and they oversee the regional Northeast office, which is us. Their number is 717-214-9780. It is hugely important, seriously, to hit up on all of these women and make sure that they know that you're not going away and what is happening to you within their agencies. The deputy secretary used to be Kathy Utz. She still is there. You can still call her. Lisa is her secretary. A lot of times it's better to go through Lisa, and she might be able to give you more information. Lisa's number is 717-787-4756, and she's really good at answering her emails. So it's ROSCOE@PA.gov. Her name is Lisa Roscoe, and she's pretty good at answering questions and getting back to you. The big cheese right now, Beverly Macaris. She's another one that I haven't seen her do anything, but her number is 717-787-2600. If you're going on a campaign to get the DPW to listen to you, she's the head one to get to. Her email, bmakereth@pa.gov. We also went on a campaign with our Attorney General, Kathleen Kane, another worthless position that's held. Did nothing. She does nothing. She passes the buck, says she cannot control what those offices do, which we all know isn't true, because if you can't go to your Attorney General, who can you go to? It's just ridiculous that she keeps not doing anything about it. But her and Corbett don't seem to have any interest in getting involved in children and youth services. And I have a little excerpt I'm going to read then for everybody, a little bit more information on that. They definitely do have the right to oversee that office and what's going on. And I guess we just have to keep letter campaigning them and finding out why they refuse to do it. Now, attorneys. I have a list here of some good attorneys that have done some decent stuff for people and going through children and youth services. Mark Freeman, his number is 215-378-8273. Nice guy, easy to talk to. He's usually really good at calling you back and giving you information. Attorney Rocco, Philly area, 215-977-7141. Then there's the Juvenile Law Center. Now, they're supposed to be helping us. As usual, like everybody else, Juvenile Law Center is short-staffed. They have some great help in there. One of those people is Jenny, and she gave me a number for one of the head attorneys there is Bob Schwartz. I guess there's just only so much the ACLU and Juvenile Law Center claim to be able to do because they're so short-staffed. And it's just overwhelming how many of these cases that there are. You can leave a message for Jenny. I actually do have her direct extension. Her number is 215-625-0551. She's at extension 111. You can leave her a brief message and ask her your concerns and to give you a call back if she has someone she can send you to that might be able to help you. Yesterday she had given me the name of Barry Diller, and I think she has a lot of faith in him and what he's doing against children youth services. Unfortunately, he just happens to be in my case with the criminal thing that's coming up with one of my foster children. So I cannot use him. I was kind of upset, but all of you out there can definitely give him a call. Again, his name is Barry Diller. It's Duyler, 570-829-4860. Seemed like a very decent guy when I talked to him. Unfortunately, I couldn't talk to him about a lot because of the conflict of interest. His law partner is, I'm guessing, defending the creep that raped my foster daughter. So I couldn't get anywhere. A civil rights attorney, Ben Picker, he's won some cases, and he's won cases here in Berks County. So if you have a civil rights case, which I do because they came into my house without the warrant, without the court order, without just cause, without being invited, that's a civil attorney's job. Ben Picker's number is 610-341-1073. So there's a lot more information I have here. I don't want to overwhelm everybody with all these numbers and stuff, but it's just a good idea to have this information to refer to. Put it on a piece of paper, have it stored in your computer, or type it up, print it out, keep it in a folder with all your court stuff. I talked to an attorney today, and I found this kind of interesting, and I don't know, I don't think I'm stupid, but I didn't realize when I called him about a former client that he was a guardian ad litem for, who really needs some help right now. And he cannot help her because it's conflict of interest, and he would get disbarred if he would defend anyone against Children Youth Services. I just find that kind of a conflict of interest. Like, a lawyer is a lawyer, but if you're working for Children and Youth Services and you're a guardian ad litem, you're not allowed to go against them. So I brought up the case in my case where James Conville was the guardian ad litem, and the day of the hearing made himself an attorney and brought in a different guardian ad litem, which to me seems like a little conflict of interest, but my lawsuit will hopefully bring all that out. We talked a little bit about the immunity that caseworkers have, and I did find the Title 18 of the PA Crimes Code, and Children Youth Services does not have immunity. According to 4910 in the code, tampering or fabricating physical evidence, a person commits a misdemeanor of the second degree if, believing that an official proceeding or investigation is pending or about to be instituted, he alters, destroys, conceals, or removes any record, document, or thing with intent to impair its verity or availability in such proceeding or investigation, or makes presents or uses any record, document, or thing knowing it to be false and with intent to mislead a public servant who is or may be engaged in such proceeding or investigation. I think every single one of our cases this has happened, and every single one of them the social worker was committing a crime. How do we prove that? I don't know. But that's what our lawsuit is going to be about. So we have to prove it somehow, because we all know that they're doing it. Your records disappear. They never get your phone calls. They go into a court proceeding. They sit there and lie right on the stand, and they're getting away with it. But according to this crime codes in Pennsylvania, they do not have immunity to do the stuff that they are doing. The other thing that I found here that I wanted to read is about the current system, of course, is destroying our families. It's encouraging the abuse and the exploitation of our children. The federal funding initiatives and the prolonged litigation provide financial incentives, obviously, for the judges, the lawyers, the GALs, the service providers, the custody evaluators, blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on. The system is flaunting control. It's ignoring the laws and profiting financially as we lose our children, our families, our life savings, homes, and stability. The laws don't protect citizens from endless intrusion of government entities wielding unlimited power with no accountability. We all know that, been living it. It should not be happening. We contact our state reps, our senators, our congressmen, and those appointed to committees to enact change. We've contacted the Attorney General, the Inspector General, the Judicial Conduct Board. We've encountered a cycle of passing the buck without sincere measures to correct this ongoing crisis for family and children. These are the members of the executive branch of our government who claim to have no jurisdiction when complaints are filed. Just talked about this. These are them, the Attorney General, the Auditor General, and the State Treasurer, all of whom are elected to administer agencies independent of governor, are also executive branch officials, the Lieutenant Governor, an elected official, and the appointed members of the governor's cabinet constitute the rest of the executive branch of government. Cabinet members manage the operations of the state government agencies and provide their expertise as advisors to the governor. So there again, they're not doing anything. We've done the letter campaigns to these people, and nobody has stepped up to the plate, not one. The executive branch of Pennsylvania government, consisting of both elected and appointed officials, is headed by the governor, who holds the state's highest office. Citizens look to the governor as a leader who will set the agenda for the state government, see that current problems are dealt with effectively, and that plans for a future are put into place. We are asking you, Governor Corbett, again, to effectively challenge and investigate the ongoing crisis we are all suffering at the hands of out-of-control government agencies and corrupt courts. We are willing to provide documented evidence of the failure to protect our children and the horrible outcomes of the family court system. We ask for your intervention and action to investigate and remedy the abuse of power by government agencies and the family court system. Great quote by Thomas Jefferson. When a man assumes a public trust, he should consider himself as public property. Thomas Jefferson. Well, we got that sent out to Mr. Corbett. Great writer. We have some really great writers on our team, and, of course, went nowhere. And I believe that was, I think we did that months ago. We had never heard anything back. Today I'm just going to leave you with some readings of the Constitution that I want you to think about, and think about how these agencies are totally ignoring the Constitution. And it's not word for word every little thing, but it's the important things I found in it. No man who is in a position of authority over them is above the law. Those who have been victimized have the real ability to seek civil and criminal punishment against those who use authority of the state to act outside the law with impunity. It's been done in my case. Under the Constitution of the United States of America, all Americans have the right to be free from threats, duress, coercion, or intimidation in the dealings with the state. We've all been threatened, coerced, intimidated. They just do it as part of their daily job in these agencies. Under the Constitution, Americans have the right to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizure. Totally believe coming into your house without a warrant, court order, and just destroying your family definitely fits in there. Happened to me. Every single one of these things have. All Americans have the right to not be subjected to hearsay evidence against them. Hell, these agencies just make up whatever they want, or take the word of some jack off the street and use it to take your children from you and hold them hostage in their system as they have their job security and are making profit off of us and our children. Definitely needs to be stopped. All Americans have the right to not be compelled to be a witness against him or herself. And, of course, we know that they do that because they take us into these court situations, and you're not only so scared to be in that situation and fighting so hard to get your life back to normalcy that you're so intimidated, and you're compelled to come up with and have proof of and fight for your life and your children's lives. Parents have the right to not be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. I'm sorry, but my property is my kid, and you should not be depriving me of that because of your problem with financial gain and job security. Also, Americans have the right to be legally protected from slanderous or libelous reports against them, and the right to be able to seek real retribution for any such violation against their character. Once again, happened, I think, to every single one of us has been through this with this agency. So there's a little bit about your Constitution. Anybody who wants a copy of that, let me know. I will email it to you, put it up on Facebook, and you can print it out. So, for all of you looking for help, don't forget about us. We are the Pennsylvania Coalition for Family and Parents' Rights. We have a hotline set up to take your calls at 206-339-9456. You can email us at info_PAcoalition@gmx.com. And we will try and get you set up, get you some help. We are working real hard at this. We can use more help, as much help as we can get. If you know attorneys, please get them involved in our group. We need their help. We need their direction. Lots of questions all the time, and I'm fortunate enough that I get to talk to lawyers at least a few times a week, but I always have questions, and they're not like just at my beck and call. I always have to remember that. I will be back to doing the show at noon tomorrow. Please call in. I'd like to hear your story. I'm hoping to hear from actually someone that's been kept away from his daughter tomorrow and have him on the show because he has some interesting things about that. And it's so heartbreaking when it's your family. And a lot of people don't want to get involved in this because they think it's never going to happen to them, and then it does. And I surely do not want to ever go through this with my grandchildren, ever. So I'm determined to get this system changed. If you have time to call in, the number to call in is 646-595-2137. I want to hear from anybody and everybody that has a story to tell as we compile all our evidence to move forward and hopefully file a nice, big, juicy lawsuit against all these people taking our rights away and destroying our lives and our children's lives. So everybody, have a great Tuesday. Talk tomorrow. Bye.